Welcome to AL East State of the Division. I'm your host, Colby Olson, joined by Sam Luckini. We're going to be breaking down the trade deadline. We're about over a week out, actually exactly a week out from the trade deadline now. So we're going to break down kind of the moves that went on a week ago, where teams have, positioned themselves now with about 50 games remaining in the season. Sam, I'm going to start with the Yankees because I think we're going to end up talking about the Yankees for a while here. And the Yankees had an interesting deadline. They got Andrew Benintendi. They got Frankie Montas to bolster that rotation. They then went and traded Jordan Montgomery for Harrison Bader. And then they got relievers Scott Effross and Lou Trevino. Sam, I'm very confused by this deadline from the Yankees, right? You go and get Frankie Montas. You add that much needed pitching depth. Frankie Montas isn't a frontline starter. He has a 3.59 ERA on the year, but he's definitely a really, really solid starter that you can count on. He does have some shoulder issues that he's dealt with throughout the season, but for the most part, he's been healthy. For the most part, he's been really, really solid. He didn't have a good opening outing for the Yankees, but regardless, I'm not going to put too much stock into that. But from then on, I'm just really confused by what the Yankees did. They went and traded Jordan Montgomery for a fine outfield in Harrison Bader, right? Harrison Bader, to me, though, is so similar to Aaron Hicks, right? They're about the same level hitting-wise. They're both 100 WRC plus guys. Bader definitely plays the better D in center field. He's one of the best defenders out there in center field. He had 16 defensive run saves out there last year. He's a really, really good player, right? But Aaron Hicks is basically the same player to me. And then to go on from there, you lose Jordan Montgomery. Now your rotation is looking like this. Garrett Cole, who has a 3.91 ERA since June 1st. Frankie Montas has a 3.59 ERA. I already talked about him. Jameson Taillon has a 5.01 ERA and a 4.75 FIP since June 1st. Nestor Cortez, he's been pretty good, 3.36 ERA and a 4.13 FIP since June 1st. But can he keep up this workload? We've never seen him go this deep into a season. Can he manage 180, 200 innings in a season? I don't think so. And then you have Luis Severino waiting on the IL with a lat injury, which I'm worried about him coming back healthy from. And then beyond him, you have, some depth, Domingo Germán, Davy Garcia, Clark Schmidt, but I'm not really excited about any of those guys to pick up the scraps. So I didn't let you speak yet. And I did that on purpose because I'm going to let you kind of go off and give me your explanation for what the Yankees did and how you're feeling, because they've obviously been slumping. They have a losing record over the last, 50 games?
Yeah. So I think since June 11th, they have one of the worst records in baseball. They obviously started hot. They have 71 wins and it's great. The deadline for the Yankees was awesome until the end. It's not like I don't like the Harrison Bader thing. I think the Harrison Bader thing is fine. But Jordan Montgomery, that's steady Eddie, man. Like, that has been a guy that we've kind of relied on for the past couple of years. And granted, I get it. Maybe you don't want to give him a playoff start. Maybe you see your four guys in the rotation with Montas coming in, and that is your number two, essentially, because I think he's last in right there at the number two, Nestor at the three, and then, when Severino comes back healthy, he's your four. The biggest thing that I'm seeing here with Bader is I think that at some point they're going to want to dump the Hicks contract, and I think I was surprised that it didn't happen at the deadline. Because with bringing Bader in, that essentially gives you a year and a half of control with Bader in center field. You don't want Judge to play center every day because of the health, and you don't want to pay him as a center fielder long-term because he will make more money as a center fielder. He's more valuable out there. So I think with Bader, he's got a year and a half control. I think in the offseason, they dumped the Hicks contract and they put Judge back in the playoffs. And they said they made this move for the postseason. Like you said, man, with Hicks, they're very similar types of players. So I don't know if they're just straight up done with Hicks because of the money that he's on, and he's so inconsistent. He was awesome for a 35-game stretch, and for the past 15, he's been terrible. He broke an over 32 just the other night. But from, when we were looking at it objectively before that trade, I thought they had an incredible deadline. I think outside of the Padres, I don't think there was a bigger winner in baseball than the Yankees. They got Andrew Benintendi, who I wrote about on justbaseball.com, is a perfect fit for that team. He's finally starting to come alive. He had 2 doubles last night, so he looks a lot better. And he gives them that contact presence in the lineup that they don't have outside of a DJ LeMahieu. And I think he's a perfect fit for the team. They got Joey Gallo out, but they've been bad since Joey Gallo's left. So I don't know if there's a curse or what it is, but I like Montas. Montas is going to be good. He had 12 days off. I think his mother died or something crazy. So like absolute condolences to him. And he's coming off of a shoulder thing, and that was his first start in 12 days. So I think he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. And with him, he has like a 6.17 ERA against National League teams in his career. So he's always been bad against National League teams. And his first start as a Yankee going against the Cardinals is going to be rough. And he was terrible. But again, I think he's going to be a lot better. And with the bullpen arms, F. Ross is awesome. I think F. Ross is going to be a huge piece for this team down the stretch. They don't have Michael King anymore. He's out for the season. They lost a ton of different pieces throughout the season. Chapman's still trying to come back to form. Same thing with Loizaga. And Clay Holmes has been kind of shaky. And I think Trevino is another guy. His peripherals look awesome, and he can be better down the stretch. He's been pretty good with the Yankees so far. But, like you said, the Bader thing is weird. And I thought they were huge winners. And it just kind of threw everybody for a loop with that trade. It was weird.
Yeah. I'll leave you with a couple things before we move on to the other teams. One, I think that the Yankees season is laying on the arm or the lat of Luis Severino at this point. If he comes back and he can pitch to, that level that we've seen him pitch at before, their season changes. But right now, I'm really worried about this rotation when they're stacking up against Houston or the Dodgers or the Mets if they were to make to the World Series, right? I don't know if their rotation could stack up. Obviously, they have the best lineup in baseball right now, and that's what you got to hang your hat on at the end of the day. All right, let's move on. Blue Jays. They acquired Whit Merrifield, Mitch White, Zach Pop, and Anthony Bass. They trade away Jordan Groshans, who, before the season was some places had him as a top 100 prospect. I'm personally not very high on him. This is a guy that's contact first, not much power, kind of positionless as well. They traded him to the Marlins for Zach Pop and Anthony Bass. I like those two moves a lot because this bullpen was struggling 16th best in baseball coming into today. And you get Anthony Bass, who has a 1.52 ERA, a 2.85 xERA. He's a slider first guy with a really, really good sinker. And you get Zach Pop, who's also really, really intriguing. 97-mile-an-hour sinker right there. So that bolsters the bullpen. But I still worry about this team long term. How can they deal with that rotation? I mean, it's just not strong enough, in my opinion. Obviously, they have the third best WRC plus in baseball. This lineup's going to carry them the whole way. But I don't think that they did enough at this deadline. And I think that, they kind of went halfway in knowing they're not going to win this division. And they're going to kind of just get in as a wild card and see what they can do.
Yeah, they did go halfway in. It was super weird. And bringing Mitch White in isn't going to fix your starting pitching problems. I love what they did with the bullpen. I think the trade with the Marlins is incredible. Getting those two arms is sick. The Merrifield thing, he's an 80 WRC plus guy. We've seen how good he can be. They needed a left-handed bat, so that was the guy. He got vaccinated so he can play at Toronto, which is cool. But I just think with the starting rotation, they've been so inconsistent all year. And Colby, you and I had talked about this so many times on this show. I don't think Mitch White coming into this rotation is somehow going to elevate them into another level. I think they should have went out and gone after one of these top flight starters. If they went out and got a Montas or a Castillo or whatever, or Quintana, it doesn't even matter. They should have went out and got somebody that was way a way bigger prize for them at the deadline with these starting pitching. And I don't think they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs strictly because they're just going to get outpitched. And even when I look at a team like the Yankees, who we just talked about, I think the Yankees will outpitch the Toronto Blue Jays as far as their starters go. So they went halfway in, and I think I gave them a B- because I like the bullpen move and I like the Merrifield move to an extent. But the White thing is weird, and I just think they needed another starter.
Yeah, they just needed anyone that isn't Yusei Kikuchi to go out there and throw a pitch for them, which is just brutal every 5 days. All right. The Rays, another team that kind of just went halfway in. They got David Peralta, who's having a really fine season. They got Jose Siri, who, I think that was the most intriguing acquisition. They give up Seth Johnson, who's in that 3-team trade, Mancini to the Astros, Jose Siri to the Rays, then Seth Johnson over to the Orioles. Jose Siri is somewhat intriguing, right? He has 99 percentile sprint speed. He's elite defender in center field. I mean, this guy could be one of the best defensive center fielders over the full course of the season. And he's shown glimpses of being a good hitter in the past, but he Ks way too much. He's a 36% K rate right now. He's 27, not even a half season of service time left. So like the Rays are going to have control over him a lot for a long, long time. it's an intriguing move, but they didn't do anything that makes me go, wow, this team is really positioning themselves to, one, lock down the wild card, and two, at least make a postseason run right now.
Yeah, but we all knew this was going to happen. Me and Peter talked about it pre-deadline. They're not going to go in and get a big bat. It's just not going to happen. Like, I think that the Nelson Cruz thing from last year might have been the most dangerous they would ever get on the market, is trading for a 42-year-old slugger who just mashes the ball. But I think with the Jose Siri thing, I think Tampa Bay is hoping that they can replace Kevin Kiermaier's production. Now, granted, Jose Siri is not Kevin Kiermaier. Defensively, he is, but not with the bat. So, and this is Kiermaier's walk year. He's injured. He's not going to play for the rest of the season. I think he goes, and then Siri then slots in that center field spot. Again, we knew they weren't going to do anything. I legit just think Siri replaces what Kiermaier had, and I think Peralta is actually an awesome ad for them. I think that's a great ad for them.
Yeah, I think they pretty much know at this point that the Yankees and the Astros are much better than them. And okay, let's position ourselves better for next year. Let's see if, again, we catch fire like the Red Sox did last year and maybe make a run, but we're not going to jeopardize our future for this season. All right, the Orioles. The Orioles continue to be the most fun team in baseball, man. They are one game back of the Mariners for that third wild card spot right now. They can't lose. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They have a positive run differential, and yet they sold at the deadline. They traded Mancini. They traded Jorge Lopez, and good for them. Good for them. They got some intriguing prospects in these deals. They're positioning themselves not only for next year, but 2024, 2025. Gunnar Henderson coming up. Grayson Rodriguez coming up. Adley freaking Rutschman has a 193 WRC plus in his last 25 games. Since June 1st, he has a 171 WRC plus. I mean, is it fair to say that Adley Rutschman is the best catcher in baseball right now?
You know what? And that's what I was going to say. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it. I think he's got a 135 over the season. He's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. This dude is a freak, switch hitting catcher, crazy behind the dish. He might be the best catcher in baseball, man. And it's between him and Kirk, right? Kirk's still been awesome this year with the bat. So, but Adley's got the defense. Dude, I don't know. I think it's so tight, man. But he's so fun, and that team is so fun.
So here's a crazy stat for you. All right. So in 97 games, Alejandro Kirk has 2.9 WAR.
Mm-hmm.
In 62 games, Rutschman has 2.6 WAR.
Wow.
I mean, we're legitimately, Adley Rutschman could be an 8-win catcher next year. Like, he could be vying for an MVP next year. That's how good Adley Rutschman is.
Yeah, but I think it's been really quiet too. I feel like it's been like so quiet, like how great he's been this year. Just because, like, granted, like they're in Baltimore and they're fun, but I think when we look at the Orioles, we don't look at a sole individual. We're just looking at how fun they are and how great they've been, But Adley, he's been the catalyst for this team, and they've been so good recently, man.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Red Sox, the one question I want to ask is, I feel like everyone's kind of like, oh, the Orioles are really fun. They're right there in the wild card race, but they're still not really taking them seriously as a playoff team. At what point do we kind of go, oh, wow, the Orioles are actually going to make the playoffs here, and they have a real shot of doing it? Like, there's 50 games left pretty much at this point. Is it 25 games left if they're still right in that hunt? What is it for you?
I don't think it's going to be that long. We love the Orioles. They're so fun, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, in my heart of heart, like, they've been great, but like, granted, like, this is, when you look at it, that means that 4 AL East teams make the playoffs, and the Red Sox don't make the playoffs, So I don't think it happens. They would be the 3rd AL East team if they were to get in, but I just have faith in one of these other AL teams. They're going to snag it.
I'm going to say something crazy here. I think they're better than the Rays. I think they're better than the Rays, man. The Rays are a team full of duds, and the Orioles just have this grit to them that makes me think that they want it a little bit more than the Rays. I think they're better than the Rays right now.
Okay, I would agree with that if they didn't trade Lopez and Mancini.
Fair.
If they didn't do that, I would agree with that.
Fair. And Mancini
should have sold. Fire. They should not have sold. Why did they sell? That's so dumb. Why did they sell? That sucks.
The odds of any of those prospects actually becoming something too, probably pretty low at this point. Seth Johnson's intriguing, but nonetheless. All right. To finish off here, Sam, we get the Boston Red Sox. And I'm not even going to start with the trade deadline to start here, because we got news before recording this episode that Chris Sale is out for the season now. Obviously, he got hit with that comebacker, broke his finger, was hanging it up, and it was like bent it all different ways. And then what did the guy do? He went and pulled a Joe Biden and fell off of his bike and broke his wrist, out for the season. Now, this Red Sox season could not be more disastrous and embarrassing. I mean, I was going back to 2011 and reading the article about, obviously their collapse, but the reason for that collapse was Josh Beckett, John Lester, John Lackey sitting in the clubhouse playing video games, drinking beers, and eating fried fucking chicken in the middle of baseball games in September while their team was collapsing. This is like up there with that embarrassing right now.
These Boston Red Sox, man. Damn it, dude. I said they were going to be the second place team in the division. That's what I said 2 months ago. And here we are, and they're just absolutely falling apart. Look, man, they should have sold off more. They should have sold off more at the deadline. If they knew that they were going to be this bad, if they go out and trade Christian Vasquez, then why didn't you just sell everything else? Because I don't think JD comes back. I don't. Why would he want to re-sign there? And even with Xander, I don't think Xander wants to stay. I don't think they want to pay him that money. They need to pay Devers. That has to happen 1,000%. But I don't get this team. I don't get Heim. I don't. I do not understand him whatsoever. And this isn't me as a Yankee fan. This is me as a legit outsider perspective. I don't get him. I don't understand him at all.
So I think ownership is the one saying that they can't trade Xander, which I'm fine with. I think they should at least give themselves a shot at re-signing him this offseason. Not trading JD Martinez. I think the same reason JD Martinez didn't get traded is the same reason why Wilson Contreras didn't get traded, right? The market for a bat like that's been struggling since June. JD Martinez has really been struggling. And I don't know if he's playing hurt, but I could see him playing a little bit hurt lately. And I think that's the reason they didn't trade him, because their market wasn't there. The other guy that I was surprised to not see get moved was Nady Eovaldi, but that's another guy who was just coming off the IL. His velocity was down 2 miles an hour. So I don't think the market was really necessarily there for him either. And I think the Red Sox actually got better at the deadline, as crazy as that sounds, right? They got Eric Hosmer. We needed a first baseman that plays well defensively. We needed a first baseman that would show up and actually just like make contact with baseballs and be a little bit above average at the plate. And that's what Eric Hosmer is, right? Tommy Pham was a great sight. Rob Refsnyder went on the IL. We needed a right-handed bat in the outfield desperately because Kike Hernandez has been out all season. I like what I've seen from Tommy Pham so far. Then you go out and get Reese McGuire to fill in for Christian Vasquez. I think the Vasquez trade was one of those that did kind of confuse me a little bit, because if you're going to go get Eric Hosmer, you're going to go get Tommy Pham and kind of position yourselves to, make your team better. Trading Christian Vasquez was not a move to make your team better. I do like the prospect return. Emmanuel Valdez is one of the guys coming back in that trade. And that's a prospect I've been on forever, because he's this 5'8" second base outfield type that he gets overlooked because of how small he is, but he has some serious power. And I'm excited for that return because I think he can be an impact bat for us. But yeah, I think the Red Sox season is as good as done when you're losing 13-5 to the Royals. You're, giving up your 8th walk-off of the year. It's pretty much over at this point.
Yeah, and we clown on Hosmer and Pham all we want, but you're not wrong. I mean, they did get better. It's way better than having Franchi over there at first base, right, with the 3 errors in the game. So, yeah, as much as we clown on Eric Hosmer, it's an upgrade for the Boston Red Sox at the end of the day. I mean, he makes contact with the baseball. It's just on the ground. That's about it. So, and Pham's been good. They've legitimately had one of the worst outfields in baseball, and, they got better, but it's just weird. I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all.
It's really weird. The craziest thing about it is they still do have a shot. They're 4.5 games out right now. There's 7 teams in this race. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I really don't, but they still have a shot. And that's all you can ask for at a certain point.
Do you think they're better than the Orioles? At their peak, do you think they're better than the Orioles?
Yes. When they're fully healthy, Trevor Story's back in the lineup. Christian Arroyo's back in the lineup finally, and he's been playing really well. If Kike Hernandez is back, absolutely. But, Chris Sale going down for the year really, really hurts us.
That's tough.
I think we technically are better than the Orioles, but again, I think there is an element to the Orioles this year where they really want to make the playoffs.
They got that dog in them, bro.
They got a little dog in them. All right, that'll do it. State of the Division, AL East, trade deadline breakdown. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, everybody.